You are Locked On Astros POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What do you say? The Houston Astros are winning some baseball games. That was a fun one tonight at Minute Maid Park to kick off a 10-game homestand for the Stros. Thank you for joining us tonight for the Locked On Astros postcast. Alex Bregman, the hero of the night. We're going to discuss, is the Astros third baseman back, baby? Are the Astros back, baby? It's just a good night. Another good night for a team that has had so many bad nights early in the season. They have looked a lot better over the last, really since the end of that New York series. Simple as that. They were really bad in the first couple of games. They bounced back in the last one, and then they take 2 out of 3 in Detroit. Then here you go. You start the series off against Oakland on the right foot. That is as good as it gets for the Astros with what they did tonight out there. And again, Alex Bregman leading the charge for this ball club. We're going to talk about him in just a very brief second. Tonight's show, by the way, is brought to you by PrizePicks. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. So, the star of the night, Alex Bregman, has been a massive, massive sticking point for a lot of our conversation this season. It took Joe Espada a very long time to move him down in the batting order. He wanted to give him every chance that he could, put him in spots where he's been comfortable in the past to try and get right, and it just wasn't happening. And he finally slid down to the 6 hole. And, you know, there weren't a lot of results on the road trip, either in New York or there in Detroit as well. There were a few times the ball was hit, I think, better maybe than it's been hit of late. The quality of the at-bat at times was still a little bit up and down. Yesterday in Detroit, and look, early in the game against Flaherty, he had a really bad at-bat. But a lot of guys had bad at-bats in that game. You're not going to be perfect every at-bat. Maybe tonight facing a team that you're very comfortable against, a team that you've had a lot of success against over the years, has Alex Bregman, is what he needed. Because here's the truth. For as much as I've talked about him, and he's been, look, nobody owes him an apology. Nobody owes him anything. The facts are the facts. He has been god-awful this season. It's just the truth. A player that is counted on to not be god-awful has been god-awful. And tonight, he boosted his overall season numbers quite a bit by putting out the night that he did in the Astros 9-2 win, which is great, makes it look a lot better. It does not mask the fact that he has been bad. It is not being critical by saying that he's been bad. It's just, again, it's acknowledging the truth. And there's nothing wrong at all with acknowledging the truth. I got people sending me tweets, you owe him an apology for this. You've been trashing him. I never trashed him. I've talked about it honestly. You talk about when a player struggles honestly. But if this team, which now, by the way, sits at 16-25, I'm trying to pull up my updated standings in the American League West at 16-25. They're out of the cellar, baby. They're now ahead of the Los Angeles Angels by a half game. They're 6.5 out in the division. It's still wild. They're 6.5 out of the division at 16-25, but they're 9 games out of the wild card. It's nuts. Baseball's weird sometimes. But if the Astros want to turn this season around, they have to have Alex Bregman play like this, period. And when you have him in the lineup playing like that, it lengthens things, of course. You can slot him back up in spots where he's productive, which matters. There's the most encouraging thing that we've seen of late is there's been less pop-ups in the infield, or just less pop-ups in general. There's still a little rolling over on the baseball at times. It's not fixed. Don't take tonight as Alex Bregman's fixed all of a sudden. But he has to be closer to fixed than not fixed, because so much of this team does ride on their big boys doing stuff. And tonight he found himself with a couple solo home runs, which that had to feel good. Had only had one on the season. It's May the 13th, and he had one. Hits it over the fence twice. Back in the comfort of Minute Maid Park, which is great it's the perfect ballpark for him. We all know it. It's just the truth. He's always been a wall scraper of a home run guy. And it plays a lot better at Minute Maid Park. And he gets that. I'm like that last at bat even more than the at bats that resulted in 2 home runs. Because, this is a guy that tinkers with his mechanics all the time. This is a guy that is in the cage all the time, messing with this, messing with that. The mechanics had clearly gotten way out of whack this season. He had been performing poorly at the plate on top of that. And then it becomes mental. But tonight, maybe the work that they've put in to try and fix the flawed mechanics that have showed up early this season, to me, I think it's very obvious what his problems are when you watch it. I don't think it takes a baseball genius to figure it out. It's all about how he loads. You just go look at it. He's constantly changing the bat from standing straight up to flat to on his shoulder for a minute to kind of half. He's not comfortable. He's not comfortable getting loaded. And then he gets loaded wrong and he coils the bat behind his head, and then the swing takes forever. And then he pops it up as a result because he's trying to get too quick. He gets under the baseball. Boo! There you go. That's what happens. But tonight, hitting the ball to right field late in the game like he did, with backspin, with some barrel, and hitting it hard enough to where the outfielder can't make the play, that's the best at bat of the night. When you start, anybody will tell you that coaches anything in baseball. When a right-handed hitter starts smashing the ball to the gap in right center, that just means good things are coming. That just means they are starting to get on it. And hopefully it wasn't just a one-night thing. Because, look, here's the truth, too. He could go right back in the tank tomorrow night. This is baseball. Even guys that are, slumping like crazy and hitting 201 like he was coming into the play tonight, you can go out and you can have a night still. You can run into 3 baseballs and have a great game, and then it's right back to 0 for 5 and 2 strikeouts or whatever. I'm going to hold out, of course, the optimistic side of things, that's not the case, that something is starting to tick in the right direction, because I, like all of you, I want to be hopeful that the turnaround can still happen. Period. I know I've said it many times. I don't think this is going to be a team that ends up making the postseason. I just think they've dug themselves such a massive hole early in the year. They are being gifted the fact that the AL West is dog turds. There's no other way to put it. It's a division that, and I'm trying to, again, make sure that the standings are up to date at this very moment. And it's a Monday. Some teams are off tonight. I didn't even honestly look at the rest of the schedule. In Major League Baseball, the Mariners are currently winning 4-0, so they're going to win tonight. So the Astros will keep pace with them. The Rangers at this very moment are losing to the Guardians 7-0, so they'll gain a game on them. But again, the Mariners will be a whopping 4 games over 500 to be in first place in the division. 4. And the AL Central laughs at the AL West, and nobody thought that was going to be the case before the year, because the AL Central has 4 teams that are over 500 right now. It's just wild. This is the weird thing that baseball does sometimes. But they have been gifted by the fact that the division is not running off with this thing. Could you imagine if they were in a division right now where they had somebody that was going out there where they're like, look at Cleveland's record, 25-16 in the Central. What about in the East? The Yankees and the Orioles, 26 and 27 wins for those teams. 29 for the Phillies over in the NL East. If they had that going on, division race is done. You're not coming back from that. They'd be more than 10 games back in the division at this point. But good news. They play in the AL West. And even better news, tonight, one of the guys that they have to get going had a night. Now it's time to see Jordan bottle it up a little bit more. He's had some better results of late. He's had some better swings of late. He had a couple more hits tonight. They get Bregman, and Jordan going, along with Kyle Tucker, who is playing the best baseball of his life. And I'll say it once, and I'll say it a million times. Pay Kyle Tucker. What are you waiting for? Stop screwing around. Just give him his money. Back the Brinks truck up. You don't want him walking away after next season. Believe me on this one. Believe me. We all know it. Just figure it out. But if you get those two guys going all at the same time, that's where the Astros get difficult. And I love the fact that for 2 days in a row, this offense, which has been an offense that has so many inconsistencies this season, has gone out there and put up runs late in the ball game. Was it like last 4 innings yesterday they scored all their runs other than maybe one? Tonight they had a 4-run 8th. They had a 2-run 7th. They're putting teams away. There's the benefit of that as well, that you got to sit down Josh Hader and not blow his arm out tonight, which is great. And then the other positive of it inside of that is that your bullpen went out there and did its thing as well. Ryan Presley tried to screw it up, but he didn't. We'll talk about the starting pitcher as well tonight, because the starting pitcher got his first win of the season. Also going to discuss Joe Espada's decision to go ahead and go with a 6-man rotation in this period of time that the Astros are in. Plenty to get to after just a brief second. But first, I need to tell you guys, look, like a baseball game, there's a beginning and there's an end to everything, and Policygenius is here. Are you looking for life insurance? Do you need help picking out the right life insurance? Well, head to Policygenius right now, and they're going to get you on the right path to making sure that your plan that you have is right there for you. They're so trustworthy. They don't have a bias. They're there to give you licensed expert support on picking your life insurance policy. You got loved ones. I do. Everybody does. You want to set them up with the ability to have things covered when your end comes, which is unfortunately just going to come. Like the baseball season will come to an end this year. Everything does come to an end. But again, life insurance needs to be something that you got to check off on that list to do. So check off that life insurance, as I mentioned, off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius.com. Head to Policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB or click the link in the description to get free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's Policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB. It's the Locked On Astros postcast. Post-win, baby. Another one. That's right. We're talking about good things with the Astros. If you're joining us for the first time tonight here in the Locked On Astros postcast, thank you for joining us live on YouTube, Locked On Sports Houston page. Please hit the subscribe button if you are new to it. We are here every single night when the Astros, win a game, lose a game. Hopefully win more games like they're winning right now. We're not just an Astros channel, though. Don't forget about that. We have all the Houston teams covered for you. Later this year, we'll have Locked On Texans postcast, Locked On Rockets postcast. Those two teams also on the come. And we'll do Locked On Cougs football, and maybe a little bit of basketball when they get back going as well. So you're going to have a lot of me in your life available to you on YouTube. I appreciate you guys joining me, hitting the subscribe button. And if you're looking for this show, specifically the Locked On Astros show, you can get it for free anywhere that you get your podcast. Go and search for Locked On Astros. You'll get this show as well as the Locked On Astros show with Brett and Eric. Great show as well. Please go check both of them out and listen to this show in its audio form. Spencer Arrighetti tonight picks up his first Major League win for the Astros. We talk a lot about Alex Bregman in the lineup, doing what they needed to do tonight to get the Astros the win. It was a big, big night for them. More signs of better things to come for the team, hopefully. We'll also talk in a minute about if you really are starting to believe that they can be turning the corner at this point as a baseball team. But Arrighetti, I know that he's had better starts recently. New York didn't go very well. I didn't have any expectation for him personally to do anything in New York. I was just trying to bring up his game log real quick. I think it was the start before that. That was a lot better than that. Yeah, the Cleveland start was 5 2/3 with 2 runs. I really thought tonight was probably his best start. I thought he pitched really well with his fastball. I thought his breaking stuff was executed pretty well. And then I thought when he couldn't get pitches over, he went to that changeup at times, and that really, really helped him. And he's going to continue to get a little bit of a shot. And that's, 2 out of his last 3 starts, I think, though, overall, not counting that New York one, which, again, rookie in that situation, in that ballpark, that history, that fan base, they weren't so loud early in the game, but, as that place fills up, because it takes them, an hour to fill that stadium up by the time the game starts, it gets a little bit crazy. I really like the stuff that you saw out of him. He's got to continue to take advantage of his opportunity. And if you missed it before the game today, Joe Espada basically set it up that, yes, the Astros are going into a 6-man rotation now. So, of course, you have Eric Getty. Hunter Brown will continue to make starts. Christian Javier will make another start this Thursday. Justin Verlander, Ronel Blanco, and Framber Valdez. So that's 6 guys right there. We all know who the odd man out, I think, would be in this scenario if they went back to a 5, which after they have, and I think a lot of this, and you see teams do this too, the Astros are in a stretch of 29 and 30 days, which is just downright silly. Their next off day is on the 23rd after the end of this homestand before they head out on the road to take on Oakland. And then they will not get another day off after that until the 6th of June. So they are playing so much baseball. And then look at them. They get a day off each of the next 2 weeks, plus 2 days off in the week following that. So they'll rack up some off days there in the month of June, which they need at this point. They've been lucky that they haven't had to blow out their Hunter Brown's a big reason why they didn't have to blow out the bullpen over the weekend, going out there and giving them a ton of innings and coverage the other day. But I think Eric Getty tonight put a foot down and made a statement on being able to hold on to a rotation spot for a minute. We'll of course see what happens. Jose Urquidy continues to near his return. He's going to make another start for the Sugar Land Space Cowboys. But came out of his first one saying everything felt right, felt good. So the Astros will continue to have some surplus of starting pitchers. Spencer Arrighetti at that point is probably a guy that gets sent out to the minor leagues. But he did everything he needed to tonight to show that he is worthy of continuing holding on to his spot in the rotation for the brief moment that it is still available. It was really encouraging. Now, look, if he continues to go out and pitches like this, and let's just play in the hypothetical world like he has for the most part this season, that Hunter Brown continues to pitch poorly, then Spencer Arrighetti probably finds a way to hold on to his spot for a little bit or some sort of role for this team. At some point they will be pitching rich in health. That would be nice. They're getting closer by the day, and then they'd have hard decisions to make. But if they get these kind of outings out of these guys, especially, look, what you got out of Verlander the other day, Framber on Friday, the Javier one, okay, it's his first start back after missing some time with the injury list, with the neck. You just chalk it up. You just hope it looks better the next time that he comes out. But this is what this team is built off of. We know this. This team is built off of going out there and going 6 or 7 innings typically out of your starter, handing it to the bullpen being lights out. And they're getting results right now. That is the most important thing for this baseball team, is to get results, to see the results, and they are seeing it at this very moment, whether it is in that rotation, whether it is in that bullpen, and that is allowing them to go out there and their offense to, even if they have to do it a little bit late, they find a way to pound out some runs recently and score enough to where the bullpen can breathe a little bit. It means a lot when you don't have to go out as a bullpen and be perfect every single night. It means a lot to the stress levels of it. And they've given them that ability by blowing it out late. Again, sitting Josh Hader down tonight instead of having to use him in this baseball game is huge. Now, of course, he still throws pitches in the warm-up. They still count those things. They still track those things. It's something that might even make him unavailable. Probably not tomorrow night, I'd imagine, but maybe the next night if he pitches in the game tomorrow night. So, a big, big win, a big night for Spencer Arrighetti, and maybe, just maybe, this is the point where I'm pointing at you in the camera, are ready to think that they are finally turning the page. Is that where you're at? Are they turning the page? We'll continue to discuss in just a brief moment here on the Locked On Astros postcast. But first, I need to tell you again about PrizePicks. Are you playing PrizePicks? Well, if you're not, what are you waiting for? It's a game of more or less, and it is so much fun. It makes games, to be honest with you, a little more spicy. I love a little spice. You know who I love when it comes to a little spice? Playing Jeremy Pena overs, because he's darn good this season at getting hits, racking them up. It's not just about those players, but all about the more or less, like I said, whether it's hits, runs, first inning runs, whatever it might be, they've got you covered there with PrizePicks. Of course, we got NBA action going on as well at the playoffs. I love it, so get in on it with PrizePicks. It's really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. On top of that, I get quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's code LOCKEDONMLB when you download the PrizePicks app today. All right, our final few minutes of the Locked On Astros postcast. Thank you to all of you that have joined us live tonight. I appreciate it. And again, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. We appreciate that as well. And, of course, we're with you. We'll be with you again tomorrow night when the Astros play the Oakland Athletics, 7:10. We'll be with you the next night when they play the Oakland Athletics, 7:10. It's going to be a grand old time. It feels a little bit. That's the best part about this. Now, look, Oakland has been a surprise this season, no doubt about it. They have hung around a lot more than anybody expected. They have played capable, and you see it. They've got some guys in that lineup that can swing it a little bit, that can pop one out there and, make you kind of pucker up when you're at the plate or you're on the mound or your team's watching them. But they're now at 19-24 on the season. They're going to end up being a team that finishes well under 500. Like, bad teams, we saw this with bad Astros teams, maybe not the 2011 or 12 or 13 versions, but the 2014 version. You could go on runs. You could be a bad team and win a bunch of games. Like, it happens. It absolutely happens. They'll come back down to earth eventually. Guys, now I'm going to steal the Astros phrase for this, even though I hate it. A lot of guys will play to the back of the baseball card. It's true. Especially on teams like that. Like those that there are a lot of guys that are struggling to be major leaguers and would struggle to be major leaguers on this baseball team. They probably wouldn't be major leaguers on this team is what I should say, actually. But that's a team when the Astros go out there and they line up just on paper, talent for talent, and compare the two. And if you gave it to somebody that doesn't know about what's going on in the season currently, but knows about each of those teams' players, and they looked at it and they would go, hey, the Astros are probably going to win that game by a lot. Like they've done now for years against Oakland. That's the encouraging thing, is that you get back to playing a team that, again, you're so comfortable with playing. And they went out there tonight, and they did it. They smacked them around. They smacked them around late. They blew it out. They did exactly what they needed to do. And it looked like Astros baseball against the Oakland Athletics. And these games are so important for that reason. You're seeing Oakland, like you did with the Rangers last month. You're seeing Oakland 7 times of the 13 times you're going to play them this year. It is vital to beat up on Oakland. It is vital to beat up on the Angels. The Astros have gotten off to a decent enough start against the Rangers, 4-3. You'll take that. Seattle, different story. They're going to have to fix that when they face Seattle again here on the upcoming road trip. But Seattle was the series that they should have won 2 out of 3, but they lost 2 out of 3. So the point is, though, you have to feast against Oakland and the Angels. And it's not as many games anymore. Of course, it's 13. I'm not asking the Astros to go off a real 12-1 off. But I think realistically, to get back to being a team that's winning, that wants to creep back towards 500 and eventually contend in the American League West, you need to pull off 20 wins in your season against the Angels and the A's. Whatever combination that is, 20 wins. You pull off 20 wins there. Let's just say you pull off 8 wins against the Rangers. So 28. I'll play the optimist and say against the Mariners they pull off 7. Okay? So you've got me 35. That's a good chunk of your wins right there. And if they can do that, that's one of the goals that they have to have. And maybe tonight you're watching this baseball team and you've watched them after, again, the rough start to the series against the Yankees, and they've flipped it now. They've won, 4 of their last 5 ball games? Are they tricking you, or do you believe? They're getting a portion of the schedule, too, that helps. Oakland helps, even if they are a team that's not been that bad. Milwaukee's coming to town. They're a first-place club after this, but they've given up a lot of runs at times, and they're a team that is struggling lately. So I'm not going to sit here and say that the Astros can't beat them at all this weekend. I think they should. At their place, yeah. That's the other sneaky part about this. We're not talking about that element of Astros can't win at home. All they do is win on the road this year. This year, I mean, they're not good, but they're hitting the ball better. They're now what? Are they 8-12 or 9-12? 8-12. It's not great, but it's. I just think that you look at how they've played, they look better at home than they did last year. So, look at me. I'm trying to bring all the optimism to your life because I feel good about it. I know that a lot of you feel good about it as well. It's always nice when they win these baseball games. It's always nice when we can come on here and do this show, and it's after a win as well. Again, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. If you're listening to this on podcast, go search for Locked On Sports Houston. You can subscribe to the YouTube page there. You can watch us live every night. You can watch the videos back, whatever it is that tickles your fancy when it comes to taking in your Astros content. We are here for it every single night. Appreciate you guys stopping by tonight. Again, we'll do it tomorrow night after the Astros and A's do it again at Minute Maid Park, where hopefully they'll be talking. We will be talking about another win after this ball game. Enjoy the rest of your Monday night. Talk to you tomorrow.